Now that we have the face blocked out pretty much, let's go ahead and work on the back of the head and finish up the head. I'm going to open a file on the desktop, exercise files, SplineHead 06. Okay, that's pretty much what we had before with the eye and everything. So now what we need to do is create the rest of the head. How do we do that? Well, what we should probably do is there's pretty much the top of the head is right about here. So we probably need to create an outline there that pretty much goes, as you can see in the front view here, that pretty much just follows the edge of this face and goes to the top of the head. And then what we can do is we can use that to build the back of the head. So how do we do that? Probably the easiest way to do it is just to extract the segments from the face we already have and use those to build the rest of the to build that outline that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and select. Actually, I'm going to freeze these here. Freeze selection. There we go. Go ahead and select my splines. And now this time we're going to go to segment. Now segment is just, for example, is just this line between these two vertices here. So what I'm going to do is select all of these segments. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control and just select. They turn yellow. It's hard to see on this screen. And then if I want, I can actually just drag select all of these segments here. So what I'm doing is just, and then Alt select and unselect the ones I don't want. So what I'm looking for, I'm going to go into perspective view here, is to get everything here from basically the base of the jaw up, around, and to the top of the head. So those are all the segments I want selected. I don't need to select these ones down here or anything inside the face. So now I'm going to go to my right viewport. Hope you can see this. In fact, I'm going to, and I'm going to do move, and I'm going to hold down the shift key, and we're just going to duplicate those segments. Just hold down and drag it so it's pretty much just underneath the top of the head, so we don't have to reposition it. And let's look at that in a perspective view. In fact, I can, if I deselect it, you can probably see a little bit better because it'll turn orange. So I've created another series of splines. Now what I need to do is take the ones here at the top of the head and model them so that they're pretty much vertical with everything else. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and hide these image planes we have here, just for now. And I'm going to go back into my, so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm just going to start modeling these so we have almost as close to a straight line as we can with these. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's a good idea to get it as close as possible. I'm just going to have to select these one by one and move them into place. Now actually I'm going to start moving these up as well because I know the head is a little bit higher at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and unhide now so you can kind of see where I've got these, and I'm going to move those up so they hit the top of the head. Now I also need to sculpt them so that they do the profile in the front view. So I'm just going to hit F, go to my front view. And so I can see what I'm doing. I've got this face in the way here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my show end result, and that'll just turn it back into splines. So I have a little bit better view on this. I'm going to go ahead and select all these splines and just move them so they match the outline of the head. Now some of these I can't see, so I'm going to go into my perspective viewport here, and I'm just going to grab them and make sure that I've got these lined up here. That one's good. And I'm just really just walking my way down this hierarchy here. Now, if I encounter one here like this that's got a Bezier on it, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to a corner. But okay. Okay, that's pretty good. So now I've got all of these segments. Now these segments themselves, if you can see this, are actually separate splines. So if I click here, this spline only goes to here. This one's really short, that one's short, that one's long. So what I want to do is actually make this one big spline. Now how do I do that? The easiest way to do it is just to weld the vertices here. So when I go to this one, all I have to do is select these two vertices. Now these endpoints here, you can tell, usually it's where these squares are, but sometimes we have splines going different ways. So we have, like here, we have an endpoint that's meeting an endpoint. So what I do is I just select that intersection and I hit weld. Just work my way up. Okay, that one's one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit weld on that one. I think that's it. Let's see. So if I select spline, I should select the whole thing. Yes, now the whole thing turns red, and that is one continuous spline instead of a bunch of disjointed segments. So I can use this now to create the back of the head. I'm actually going to go into the top viewport. So all I have to do is I'm going to go over here to click on front and then just hit T to go into top viewport. And I'm going to use this exact same one to make the back of the head, because really the side and the back of the head are essentially the same shape. So I hit rotate, and from the top viewport I hold down shift and I rotate it 90 degrees. Move it. And what I'm doing here is I'm lining up, actually I want to line up these two vertices here, but this one actually, I take that vertex and move it over that one. So now we've got this one on the center line and then all the vertices lined up here. So I'm going to take the spline again, this one that we just rotated, and I'm going to hold down the shift key and rotate again. And this time I'm only going to rotate it maybe about 20, 25 degrees, something like that. And again, I'm going to move it into place. And then do another rotate. And that should be enough, although I could probably do one more. Actually, I should put the other one at 22.5, put this one at 45. And then the other one. Anyway, so that's basically we've got some detail there to create the back of our head. In fact, you can even look at it we've got a pretty good little cage there. Now we can actually create that surface very easily. In fact, I can turn on this and we can do a cross section. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go up here to cross section. Click on this, cross section, cross section, cross section, cross section. And it worked, except it looks like my normals are flipped here. Yeah, they are. So the easiest way to flip the normals is to reverse the splines. So I'm going to go over to spline, select all of these splines here, just on the back of the head, and then come down here. And there's a little button that says reversed, and reverse them, and now they're going the right direction. And so there's kind of the back of our head, although we do need to sculpt it out a little bit. So I'm going to go into a right viewport, and you notice how it's not quite lining up with the back of the head there. So what I need to do here is just let's go ahead and make this see-through, and I can take these vertices and start sculpting them into the back of the head. And then, of course, I've got these ones here to worry about. So I can start moving those, and so on and so forth. So really, again, it's just another sculpting job. We do have the geometry there. It's just a matter of fine-tuning it. Okay, I'm going to turn off see-through so we can see what we've got here. And that looks pretty good. I like that. So we still also need to attach this now to the front of the head as well. So let's go ahead and just create some bridging splines here. So I'm going to go and just like we've done many times before, I'm going to do a create line, make sure my tangent is linear, and then I'm going to turn on snap, make sure I've got it on vertex and vertex only. And then I'm just going to snap some lines from this point to this point, this point to this point, this point to this point, and so on. Now this is actually a pretty big distance here towards the top of the head. I mean, I'm tempted to put in more detail, but I think actually what I can do is I can actually just sculpt it back. I mean, I really don't need that much detail on the top of the head because there's really not much animation that's going to be going on. So if I want, I can probably take these, oops, I'm going to get out of create line mode, turn off snap, and then I can probably fix a lot of this just by moving these up a little bit. And doing just basically resculpting the head a little bit. And I can probably take these and move those up a little bit. Now, if I want, I could add more detail, but it looks like I've got it. Should smooth once I get a mesh smooth or something like that on there. I can also take these and I can move those forward if I want, to give it a little bit more of a curve. So again, this is all part of the process of modeling. But generally, it's looking pretty good. We've got the results of our head. Now, we also do need to go down here and do a little bit of a jaw. So I think we can do that in pretty much the same method that we did before. I'm going to take these segments, and I'm going to 1, 2, 3 segments. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and create one more row of splines here. So I'm going to go ahead, hold down the shift key, move this back, and then make sure that this spline here is snapped. Go to vertex now, snap that one to there, and then just create some more splines. Oops, I don't think I snapped that to the right place. Let's go ahead and that should be close enough. Okay, let's go ahead and create our lines. There we go. Yeah, that works. 2, 3. So now we've got everything but the neck, and we're going to go ahead and create the neck as we create the rest of the head. Now at this point, we're pretty much done with the spline modeling portion of the head. We're going to either turn it into a patch or into a polygon. Now that depends on what sort of modeling you're going to be doing for the body. And I think we're ultimately going to be turning ours into a polygonal model because we just modeled a polygonal body. So we're going to stop this lesson here, and then we're going to move on to adding some more detail to the head.